What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so before I get into this video, shout out to the brother Aaron for once again showing love to the channel, the donation to the channel via the PayPal. Salute to you, lover of the old school. And today he had a question. He asked me, who do I think was, or who do I prefer of the two all-time greats, Willis Reed and Elvin Hayes? Now, Willis Reed played 10 years in the NBA, had to retire prematurely due to injuries. I would say the first 7 years of his career, he was the most productive. For his career, he averaged 18.7 points, 12.9 rebounds, and 1.8 assists. Now, remember, this is a time when the offense didn't usually run through front court players. And usually, this was more of traditional basketball, positional basketball. The point guards usually ran the offense. Matter of fact, you didn't really have point forwards, really, although the term wasn't used until Marcus Johnson with the Bucks. But the first real technical point forward was probably Rick Barry. So that revolution itself was still a couple of years away. During his prime years, I would say the first 7 years of his career, Willis Reed averaged 20.1 points, 13.8 rebounds, and 1.8 assists. Willis Reed, of course, was the heart and soul of those Knicks teams in the late 60s, early 1970s, was 1970 league MVP. Had the famous moment where, of course, in Game 7, where it looked like Willis Reed was done for that series. The Knicks had a tremendous season. I think that's the year that they won 60 ball games. I think they won the first 24 games of that season, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, the Knicks lost Willis Reed in Game 5 of the finals after a devastating injury. I think he tore a muscle in his thigh. And for all intents and purposes, if this happened today, he would have been done. Okay, but, back then, the players were allowed to have a little bit more autonomy as far as choosing if they were going to play. And Willis Reed, I think he took some horse tranquilizer or something that numbed his leg completely. That tranquilizer, excuse me. That tranquilizer has horrible effects, if I'm not mistaken, as far as, it makes your breath smell like shit and all that type of stuff. But anyway, he came out there, made the first 2 shots, and the rest was history, right? Elvin Hayes played 16 years in the NBA. At the time, I believe that tied the record for, or did set the record for longest tenured NBA career, which was ultimately broken by Kareem. His peak numbers were his career average was 21 points a game, 12.5 rebounds, and 1.8 assists. His best years were his first 12 years in the NBA, 1968 to 1980. During that stretch, he averaged 23.6 points, 14.2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.2 steals, and 2.4 blocks per game. And he won a championship in 1978 with the Washington Bullets. And that's when he teamed up with Wes Unseld. He won a scoring title his rookie year with the then, I believe they were the San Diego Rockets at the time, just before they moved to Houston. Now, who do I think was the better of these two players? Man, it depends on what you value. You know what I'm saying? It's really close. Even though neither one of these guys were natural passers, by default, you got to give it to Willis Reed because he was more willing to give up the rock. Elvin Hayes had a reputation for being a guy that was not going to pass you the ball. I mean, when you look at the fact that Elvin Hayes was a volume scorer, um, who, you know what I'm saying, might drop 20 points, but then he'll shoot, maybe 8 for 19 or 8 of 18 from the floor or something like that, right? And then there were some games where he took 20, 25 shots a night. And then earlier in his career with the Rockets, man, there were some games he took 35, 30, 40 shots. He was shooting the ball that much some nights. And for him to only have 2 assists, that tells you he was a black hole. You give him the ball and you ain't getting it back. And unlike Kevin McHale, who was known for sometimes not being able to give the rock when he got the ball, at least Kevin McHale was efficient. Elvin Hayes, for his career, was 45%. Now, some of that was because, Elvin Hayes was a power forward who sometimes played center, but he was only 6'9" and 230 pounds, which even then was smallish for a center. The average center was probably 6'11" and probably 250, 260, so he was smaller. So his main go-to shot was fadeaway jumper, mid-range. So Elvin's efficiency was a lot lower than other big men who scored more around the basket. You know what I'm saying? Rebounding, they both were great rebounders, but Elvin has the more gaudy numbers. Some of it was because he played longer, but he was able to sustain his great rebounding prowess for so long. 16,279 rebounds, which I believe, when you include the NBA, just the NBA, I think that's 4th all time behind Chamberlain, Russell, and Kareem. When you include the ABA, it's 5th all time behind Chamberlain, Russell, Kareem, and Moses. So amazing numbers. Defense. Willis Reed was a great defender. And was the anchor of those Knicks teams. But Elvin Hayes' defense was on another level, in my opinion. And that's probably what he's most underrated, because when you had him and Wes Unseld hook up together, their front court was unbelievable. Unbelievable. You know what I'm saying? As far as shutting down drives to the basket, shutting down the opposition post players, dominating the boards. They were tremendous. But if it comes down to intangibles, Willis Reed has the huge edge. Leadership, huge edge. One of the knocks on Elvin Hayes is that he wasn't a good teammate, and the media didn't like him. So that definitely plays a role as to why you don't hear much about him. He should have gotten a lot more notoriety. But another thing about Elvin Hayes is, despite the big numbers he put up, he did have a reputation for sometimes faltering down the stretch of games. Whether it's fading as far as in the 4 quarters, or in very important playoff games, just not showing up at all. You know what I'm saying? He had a reputation for that. Elvin was the better rim protector. Willis Reed was not much of a shot blocker. Willis Reed was actually sort of smallish himself to be a center, like 6'9" and maybe 250-ish, maybe. But he was incredibly strong, and he had to guard the likes of Will Chamberlain and Bill Russell and Zelmo Beatty before Zelmo left to go to the ABA, and Walt Bellamy, if I haven't said him yet, Wes Unseld and Dave Cowens and Sam Lacey and Bob Lanier, and just a cavalcade of great big men. You know what I'm saying? Um, man, so who would I rather have? I honestly don't know, man. I guess if you're asking me if I had to take one and build a championship team around them, although both of these greats are unsung now, I would probably go with Willis Reed. I'd probably go with Willis. I can't go against a guy that just refused to quit. And Elvin was a guy that was an Iron Man. He only missed 9 possible games in 16 seasons. So this is a historic Iron Man. I get it with Elvin, but man, I just can't see Elvin. I have a hard time seeing Elvin suffering a torn muscle in his thigh and then doing whatever he can to come out there and play through it, at least beginning of a finals. I just have a hard time. I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing Elvin replicating that. And I know Elvin's like I said, Elvin is a warrior, but it's like I can't see, you know what I'm saying? The pain threshold you have to be able to do something like that, even with the numbing, tranquilizers that they pumped into that guy, man. Just be able to go out there and be there for your team, man. It's just amazing shit, man. Then that's why when I read and I revel about what these guys were doing, you want me to respect DeAndre Ayton, who couldn't even show up to practice because he didn't want to drive on ice. I mean, come on, man. So I guess I have to pick Willis Reed by default, man. But they're both two great players and NBA champions. And unfortunately, Willis isn't with us anymore. Elvin Hayes is still with us. Tell me what you guys think.